Krish, welcome. Good to have you with us. What are you looking for from Apple today? What kind of guidance can you give us? And I guess we should note that this, I guess it's their third fiscal quarter, is usually, or historically, this June quarter is historically their least favorable one.
Yeah, hi, hey Tyler, thanks for having me. Yeah, a couple of things I would say. Number one, yeah, to answer your last question first, yeah, June quarter is typically their seasonally slowest. Usually what happens in the June quarter is they usually purge the inventory of iPhones to make up for the new iPhone that's going to be launching in September. So that's why seasonally June is the weakest. We actually have June quarter revenues down 2% year over year. We're actually expecting September to be up 1% year over year, coming off a trough of June levels. Overall, iPhone data points is still being relatively healthy, despite the fact that smartphones have been like extremely lackluster this year.
So the stock is up very strongly this year. There we see, I think, 47% year to date, but it has certainly slowed over the past month or so. What would you expect it? How would you expect? You've got a $220 price target on it, but how would you expect it to react after today's report?
Oh man, that's a tough question. I'm trying to figure out the next day reaction. But let me rephrase it this way, right? One of the benefits Apple has had is early into this year when you got in, there's generally a view that we might end going into like a recession or a hard landing. So people usually tend to gravitate towards safety stocks, and Apple is definitely one of them, given its strong free cash flow generation, extremely solid balance sheet, net cash north of $50 billion. So I think those are basically have been what's attractive. What has been added on top of that is the fact that many investors expected iPhone to start slowing because you're seeing weakness in the non-premium smartphones. If you look at the Chinese smartphones like Oppo, Vivo, Xiaomi, etc., you've still not seen a recovery yet. And Apple has remarkably been resilient. Even I would say even some of the China numbers that came out have been pretty strong for Apple. So I think that's also kind of like added on top of the safety stock value of it.
Everybody talks about AI, and nobody's doing anything about it. No, everybody talks about AI. Do you expect Cook or anyone on the call today to talk about Apple and AI or not?
I'm pretty sure either the question is going to come up and they're going to give an answer. They're kind of being a little more, I would say, not as vocal about their Gen AI plans. But keep in mind, the chips that Apple designs, the A series and the M series, has a neural engine built into it, which can actually benefit inferencing portion of AI. And also they introduced some of the AI algorithms in their A11 Bionic chip, which was actually launched in 2017 for the iPhone. So there are some AI capabilities already built into some of these chips. The question is how much you want to extrapolate beyond that.
This is a company that is largely driven, obviously, by iPhone sales, but that's not all they do. They have earbuds, they have iPads, they have Macs. What about that side of and people don't pay as much attention to that side of their business. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure. So, clearly you're right. I mean, iPhone has been the cash cow for the longest time, and it continues to be, and that's been remarkably resilient. If you look at some of the hardware side of the business, whether you talk about iPads, Mac, AirPods, wearables like watches, right, I would say they're all going to be down year over year this year because last year was a very strong year. And this year, obviously, had a factor in the macro. So I think because of that, hardware business will be down. We think anywhere in the down 10 to high teens range on a year over year basis for the full year compared to last year for all of these other hardware categories. But services is still going to be pretty good.
All right, Krish, thank you very much. We appreciate your time today, and we'll be watching, as you will,